rebuke, I 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 rebuke.
Okay, you can rebuke it all, but it's a very practical process with 49% of the population. And relationships are reflective. You reflect and draw the kind of men that you reflect. You draw what you are. So if your interactions are chaotic with men,
I rebuke.
about your rebuking, the clock counts for everybody.
Yes.
Kick it.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
chaos,
let that chaos reign with,
chaos,
let that chaos reign with,
chaos,
let that chaos reign with,
must reign.
Yes. Yes. Welcome, guys. Welcome to a special broadcast here on the Chaos Rain Show. I am Chaos Rain here. The links to follow me are in the description, and I'll give you them now. You can follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7. You can add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Ray on Facebook. You could also join my Discord service as well. And follow me on Rumble, CRain23 on Rumble. And last but not least, become a member of the Chaos Rain Show as well. Membership always has perks. Some videos now are on membership right now, and you want to get access to them, you got to become a member. That's pretty much it. No further ado, I'm going to bring a special guest. And he goes by the name Mr. Terrence. He is more of the expert in regards to the field of sports. And matter of fact, no further, I'm going to bring him up and let him introduce himself more properly. Are you there, Terrence?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good.
All right. Welcome. First time here on the Chaos Rain Show, Mr. Terrence. Before we delve into the subject matter, and this is going to be something that is very educational and useful for all athletes, sons mostly, daughters I can't speak, but mostly for the sons and the reality of things. Would you like to I like to take a step back in a moment of time before we jump into the present and onward to the future. So tell people for the first time on the Chaos Rain Show a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Like you said, I'm Terrence. I'm a NBA, NFL scout, agent, trainer for over 30 years now. Consultant. I started out playing myself, being the only man in history to be in 4 professional sports.
Oh, really?
Yep. Minor leagues, but I still did it. And most of the time, 3 years with a Globetrotter team.
Okay.
And shoot, when I was 12, I was in professional soccer camp with the men. So been doing this my whole life. And from there, turned into a trainer, became the top trainer in the world, and consultant, life coach, psychologist, personal coach for NFL and NBA prospects. So along the way, I learned a couple of things about the business, of course. So, and I'm ready, willing, and able to share.
Okay, good. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Before we continue, I was doing some digging with the help of AI and all other search engines about the rate of people that have make it to the like the big leagues, like the NBA and football. I'm gonna read it for the poop right now. It's not long and short. 1 second, guys. And make sure you guys hit the like button. All right, so this one I'm gonna read to y'all. Where's my thing? I had it earlier. Okay, and this is something you could probably expound more detail because you've been doing this now. And to be honest with you, to play 4 sports, that's pretty impressive. I think one time, and you might know this more well. A matter of fact, before you go on, what generation you born generally? Because 30 years, so you're like a 70s baby. Most
Yeah,
likely?
yeah.
Late or middle 70s.
Early 70s.
Okay, so you roughly in the 50s now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Here's an interesting note. And you might agree, disagree with this, but this is like a breakdown. It says here, before I created this show, I try to look at the data and the information at hand. And I typed in about what's the average players in NBA and NFL. It says here since 2020 and 2023, the NBA draft allegedly estimate amount of Black African Americans 75 to 80%, whites 15 to 20%, internationals 20 to 25%. I thought it went a little higher now in the last decade with international players, but that's another story. Hispanic 2 to 3%, Asian 1%. Well, you know.
Can you hear me?
And yeah, okay, go ahead. You want to say something? No, I'm just going to give me the numbers. You get me? Before we continue. You get me good? Yeah, let me see if you get me. All right. You get me good, Terrence? Hold on. Hello? If you can hear me, jump down and come back. If you can hear me. All right. What else? NFL. From 2020 to 2023, the estimated percentage. Black African Americans, 55 through 6%. And whites, 35, 40%. High in positions like quarterback, OL, I think, offensive lineman, tight end, and KP. I think kick and punt return, I think. Hispanics, 2 to 3%. Polynesian, Samoan, 2 to 3%. Asian, 1%. And normally they say the key factors of influence of these percentage are NBA dominant by Black athletes with fewer white American stars in recent years. NFL varies by position. NFL quarterbacks, whites, while 90% of running backs, wide receivers are Black. International influence, NBA drafts are more on non-American players, Luka, Giannis, and they forgot to put in Jokic. I don't know why they include him in this finding. NFL, minimum international draft picks, mostly from Canada and Polynesian background. College pipeline, NBA top prospects often come from AAU and NCAA programs and high Black representatives. NFL college football has more racial diversity across positions. And, I'm just going to stop there for now. There's more of a breakdown by race, but we'll go on. Oh, they got Josh Giddey. All right. So, in regards to what you heard, the question we asked Terrence, if you can hear me. Oh, someone wrote something. I'm reading the background. Oh, you can hear me? Wait.
Okay,
All right, I can hear you. If you can't hear me, how it sound? If I'm going in and out? How's my mic?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. All right.
Okay. Now, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good. Was it clear that I read earlier a little snippet of the percentage of athletes that dominate the NBA and NFL?
Read it to me again.
It goes to say here one more time. The NBA draft. We're going to start from NBA and then work our way down to NFL draft. From 2020 to 2023, the estimated percentage: Black African Americans 75 to 80%, whites 15 to 20%, international varies by race 20 to 25%. That includes white, Black, Asian, etc., mixed race. Hispanics 2 to 3%, Asians 1%. NFL drafts from 2020 to 2023 estimates: Black African Americans 50 to 60%, higher in skill positions like running back, wide receiver, and defensive back. Yep. Whites 35, 40%, high in position like quarterbacks, OL, TE, and KP, offensive lineman and tight end, and I think kick putts. And Hispanics 2 to 3%, Asians, Polynesians, 2-3%, Asians 1. And it says the key factors NBA is still down by black athletes in recent years. NFL, it varies by position. 7% of the NFL quarterbacks are white, and while 9% are running backs, wide receivers, and blacks. Now, let me pause right there. You get that?
Yes,
You
sir.
get- So let's pause right there. I think this year's draft, didn't they select a little bit more black quarterbacks this year than recent years? I could be wrong.
No, this was this is what the NFL called a quarterback poor draft, and a lot of the reason why Shador dropped was because amongst NFL people, this was a quarterback poor draft, and a lot of teams that looking for quarterbacks are in this draft. They look for backup quarterbacks, and they're waiting next year to find starter quarterbacks. It's considered a quarterback rich draft next year.
Oh, and with this rich quarterback, is it more like what the data shows? Mostly non-blacks more fulfill this obligation for starter quarterbacks, roughly. Whites, or what I mean by non-black, that means whites and other groups besides
Right.
black.
Your number says 70% white.
It says here, I think it is 7. Let me look back because just give me 1 second. All right, it says here, NFL. It says whites, high position quarterbacks, offensive lineman, tight end, KP is 30 to 40%, and it says down here the key factors. The key factors
in the draft are players.
No, this is just estimate of the possibility. What is the highest percentage somebody will get drafted by race, not by that's just a race. It didn't say the key factor is that this guy is white. If he's good, he'll get this more higher. It is going by the numbers, by the what's the high possibility who will get picked up by certain positions by race, roughly.
Okay.
And it says here, NFL varies in position. 7% of the NFL quarterbacks are white.
Yeah,
that's what it says. Yeah. While others like white, 90% are running backs, wide receivers, and are black. 90%.
Skill positions. Yep.
Yep. They're more skill. Yeah. That's how the numbers are breaking down. So obviously, by looking at that, and as you know, you see the thumbnail between Shador and Cooper Flagg. As you know, Cooper Flagg is a white man from, I think, Maine. I'm not sure where his parents from. I think they're from Maine.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So, and he has a brother that's now going to play college next year. So they say he might possibly be prospect depending on how much hype is around him in college. But his brother got the most hype last year going into the college level. So obviously he's more favored, and they really pushed on him because I think to their eyes, they never seen somebody that's white American that's doing what Cooper's doing in 20, 30 years. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Because think about it, last person I know that was hyped up was Larry Bird. And that was in the 70s.
Well, it was a guy. There was a guy in the late 90s, early 2000s that played for Kansas, and it was another school. He was like a 6'8", 6'9" shooter, but he fizzled out when he got to the league. I forgot his name.
I hope you're not talking about Adam Morrison. No.
Right, Adam. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you know why I thought it, because that was almost 2000. Damn, that's almost 20 years ago.
Right.
2006. Yeah, you're right. I remember the hype with Adam Morrison.
Right.
The man he got in the league, he was nothing. And that was sad. But I think with Cooper Flagg, I don't think that's going to happen to him, but we never know, because the way how the league is structured now, and I want you to break down more of it now. The question has to be asked, Terrence. For a young player now to be a prospect for the NBA, what are the things the NBA are looking for now? The way how the league is shaping or moving forward now to be a really decent prospect that scouts look and say, yeah, we might want to pick this person up for the NBA.
Yeah. What they're really looking for now is shooting. They want a carbon copy of Steph Curry. He's
wow.
He's the He's the flavor of the month.
Hmm.
Yeah. I had a 6'9" two guard. He was 6'9", and he had a 45-inch vertical leap.
Mhm.
And I took him around the NBA teams this season, and I put him, for example, I put him in front of the Dallas Mavericks scout,
Okay.
and he shot 96% free throws, 96% from post up,
Okay.
and 94%,
Jump
92,
shots. 2 point
90,
shot. 2 point jump shots. In
90 92% mid range.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and those are records. And the Dallas Mavericks scout told me, I asked him, "What do you think?" He said, "Nah, I might call you." And I said, "Why? Why do you not think highly of him?" Well, he's not Steph Curry. That his answer was, he's not Steph Curry. He's not shooting
At 30 over 37% behind the arc.
right, and he's not jacking up threes. See, in the NBA nowadays, it's all about jacking up threes.
Yeah, too many threes. I have a problem with that, but yeah.
Yeah, and the game has really become trash, and
Because of all 3-point shooting.
right, and the proof of what I'm saying is, the legends have said the same thing. Charles Barkley and
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who else, but it's some legends on YouTube talking about how the game has turned to trash.
Now, when you mean legends, you mean people that played back 20 years ago, or people who just end the game like the last decade, like Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, or any of them?
Right. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Paul Pierce too. They regardless of
did Carmelo Anthony say anything issue with the threes? I remember when he was signed to Houston, the one thing they want him to do was shoot threes, and he said he did not want to be taking those long. He's more of a mid-range pull-up specialist. You get me?
Right, exactly. The top 10 players of all time, they weren't 3-point shooters. They might have 3 or 4 threes in their whole career between the 10 of them.
Yeah.
The Shaqs, the Elijah ones, the Kareems, Kobe didn't shoot a lot of threes. Jordan didn't shoot a lot of threes.
Jordan rarely shoot threes at all, to be honest with you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the problem is, what happened was in the 90s, the NBA, with the Great White Hope syndrome, they called the NBA called Dirk Nowitzki disease, and now the NBA has become the Euro League, and Michael Jordan. The problem is Michael Jordan and Kobe, they made too much money for the league, and so in the 80s, the average salary for a player was maybe $200,000.
Yeah, that's respectful, because at the time I remember when the NBA crossover from, I forgot what it was, back in the 60s to I think when it became the NBA was in late 60s.
No, the NBA started in like 1948.
You sure? Because they said it was some other league before that, and they kind of unionized and combined.
No, it was.
Remember, we had black people in their own league, so you know.
No, it was the NBA and it was the NBA and the ABA.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
They came together in '76.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Yep.
Right.
That's 31 years later.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. And back then, the average, the stars, we see NBA players, we see athletes and entertainers as stars. But back then, when we had families and a real society, the real stars were the guys that worked in the factories.
Yeah.
And in the 60s, you could drop out of high school and go make the equivalent of $1,400 an hour. Yes, I said an hour.
Mm-hmm.
in the Ford, GM, and Chrysler plant. And the proof of it is there's some.
Yeah, was that much money?
Yep.
Back in the 60s, right? Or
Yeah.
late 70s. Late 70s, right? 60s and
Yeah.
late 70s.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
1400 an hour.
yep.
Jeez.
Because
That's almost six figures if you
Yep.
work overtime. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Wow.
It was the pay was $20 to $25 an hour,
Mhm.
but in the 60s, the dollar was worth 70 to 80 times more than it's worth today.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
could buy a house for $5,000 and a new car for $1,000, brand new car.
Mhm.
So the men that worked, the
Mhm.
blue collar men that worked in factories and had jobs, they were the stars of the community. But the jobs were shipped overseas to destroy the black family, and all of the money was poured into sports in the 80s, starting in the late 80s and 90s, and sports became what movies were. You know, movie stars made the millions of dollars, but sports stars replaced the movie stars. And so athletes in the 70s were making like $20,000-$30,000 a year. Not this $20 million a year stuff. So you had a normal you had more of a normal society. And like 76, when the NBA and the ABA came together, it was because sports was about to go bankrupt. The NBA was about to go bankrupt. And in 1979,
Mhm.
A white guy at Indiana State named Larry Bird and a black guy at Michigan State, Magic Johnson, met in the finals. And I think it was in New Mexico, and it got tremendous TV ratings. And so
Okay.
everybody got excited about sports then, because all the resources, again, all the jobs were shipped overseas. So all the resources went into sports. Everything, everything went from society to entertainment, and
Wow.
entertainment went. Sports became the new movie and the new entertainment. And back then, we were playing just to get out of the ghetto. But now, that's what I was saying earlier. The players back then in the 70s, the average NBA salary was like 70s was like $40,000.
Yeah.
In the 80s, 150.
Mm-hmm. What's
90s,
a couple million?
huh?
A couple million in the 90s.
No. In the 90s, it was about 400,000 or 500,000.
Oh.
Now today, the average salary, I would guess, is around $4 to $5 million.
Okay.
And
Okay.
see,
Okay.
so what did that do? That makes the athletes rich and spoiled.
Entitled too. Don't forget that.
Rich, spoiled, entitled. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's son, what's the Peyton?
Yeah.
Oh, Marvin Harrison.
Marvin.
Yeah,
Okay.
Marvin Harrison Jr. 2 years ago,
Did he play for North Carolina? Marvin. He's from
Ohio State. He
Okay.
turned down $30 million to play at to go back to Ohio State instead of the draft. So
What is this, football or basketball?
football.
Okay.
So today's athlete is rich, spoiled, entitled, spoil. And so there's no hunger anymore. Back in the 70s, we wanted to kill each other with a basketball and football.
Yeah, the competition was high. The competition was high.
Yeah. We, instead of using a knife and a gun, we used a football or a basketball to kill each other and get out of the ghetto. But today, everybody's buddy. And hey, what kind of deal did you get? Oh man, they gave me 2 million. Oh, so and so gave you that on your deal. Oh man, I'm gonna get my agent to talk to him and see if he can get. It's this kind of conversation going on instead of trying to beat guys.
Mm,
So rich, spoiled, and entitled.
mm.
It's
Yeah,
too.
that's
It's too much
that's
money. It's too
that's
much money in it.
that's a problem. Our problem.
Yeah,
Um, I
and there's no rivalry anymore. There's no hunger.
but the danger with this, and I know a lot of people complain about the All-Star and the guy that what's his name that runs the NBA. I forgot his name. The Sam
Adam Silver.
Abson, right?
Uh-huh.
And he's trying to make it enticing by putting this in-ring tournament to give these guys money.
Right.
Last year, it's good, but the problem is these dudes are already making the money already.
Bingo.
So adding
Bingo.
500K, that doesn't make the NBA more enticing for these players to be more competitive. And
Right.
and here's my thing. Since it was created, yeah, there were some moments it got intense, but overall, it's not really competitive. Right now, what you see with the NBA right now, Terrence, is when you see players arguing back and forth and they look like they're intentionally like want to fight each other, they do that just to give it more of a boost that there's some form of rival, but there's no rival.
Right.
It's just trash talk. It's not. Cause remember, they were doing that back in the 80s, 90s, even today. It's not gonna make the NBA more appealing that you see some young dudes acting more thuggish, trying, like they're gonna do something. They're not gonna do nothing.
No, they're not gonna do nothing because the NBA has stiff penalties for fighting.
Yeah.
And they know that.
Yeah. And some of these dudes, let's say if they want to attempt to fight, a lot of them they're too soft. I just saw these new athletes in the NBA, and this gonna sound controversial, but I don't give a crap. I see some now painting their nails, their fingernails, my dude.
Right.
I saw one that said their best four in Philly when Paul George was not performing. He had a serious knee injury. He's out for the season, but at the time you look at his background on social media, he's teaching people how to paint. My God. When I keep saying, I say, what type of weirdo stuff is this?
Oh, that's nothing,
bro. And listen, we know homosexuality is out there, right? And I'm not. I don't talk about much, but listen, it's being full blown now. Well, these dudes don't give a crap now.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
When I took my 6'9" to NBA Summer League in Vegas, and so I'm talking to somebody fell on my back, and it was a drunk, famous NBA world champion coach. Okay. And that I knew. I said, hey, I need you to look at my player. And he had two other NBA coaches that have had head coaching jobs in the NBA. And so we exchanged information, cell phone numbers, and give my guy a look. And so I'm walking out of the what's that hotel? I forget the name of it. But we're walking out the hotel, and he tells me, that coach wanted me to take him up into the hotel room and do him. I said, man, don't play like that. We grown men around here. That's the hell? That's not funny. He said, no, I'm dead ass serious.
Wow. Don't tell me that's where it's headed.
And I talked to my buddy. He said, man, you didn't know half the league is gay. So it's the NB gay, and you gotta. It's a lot of sometimes
DL men and full blown, and they just expressing where it said get to this point, we're gonna have to initiate. We're gonna have to get through the back door. With some of you guys.
You got to come through the back door, and
literally, and not in this being
literally. And like my buddy said, how bad do you want it?
Wow. I'm not saying men can't make their money, but this is just getting ridiculous now.
It's crazy.
And the funny thing about it, right? With a lot of young players, like you guy that you're trying to get in the league that's tall and is very skilled shooting wise, to them they said, you gotta be a Steph Curry to really for any scouts to look at you. And I'm thinking, okay, but if you're going a different route where before you look at me, you want to maybe potentially, I don't want to say this, but since you brought this, I have to do this just for the opportunity for you to sit there to make an exception.
Right.
If we want to be honest.
Right.
Because not everybody shoots professionally behind the arc. Now, there's some kids now that are shooting now because they watch Steph Curry do it. And I saw some videos of kids shooting things like half court shots, making them and all that stuff. You get me?
Yeah.
So it's not hard to be a very prolific three-point shooter. Is really truly the problem is that usually players, a certain player is rugged, that he's very well multifaceted. There are times that he's going to do many things on the court. You don't even see that. You get me? So
Right.
if you're expected to draft people that just shoot threes, what happens is now you're going to see the scoring in the NBA go up, but all other things can go down regardless people's attention span.
Yeah.
Because now it reminds you like the ladies and it goes back to the notion that she's women get paid more. I say no, because you have not proven yet. You don't got the people that sit there and support you. But like I said, the NBA, because they already made their money, let's be honest, that don't be like these females. Because mostly females shoot too.
Right.
You get me?
Right.
I don't want the NBA to replicate the females. Because females can't go in there and dunk and like take like contact like that.
Right.
But we do as men. The minute we get near the what's it like 10 feet near the rim or something, we get them take off.
Yep.
And and that's what really makes it the NBA, the highlight reel. You get me?
Right.
Something that really be spectacular. But you take away the element by just shooting three. A three is not really so wow, no.
Right.
I see Steph Curry make some threes, but it doesn't wow me, Terrence.
No. It's what they want. The Celtics had a player in the 50s and 60s named Bob Cousy.
Okay.
And they want everybody to be him. Just a great white hope, a little white point guard. They're tired of the big strong black guys posting up. They're tired of the black guys flying through the air and dunking.
Yeah.
They don't want that anymore. They want Euro ball. They got Dirk Nowitzki disease. And Dirk Nowitzki was the great white hope. And so
yeah,
they're still
that lasted long, and he actually performed out of all the players that's still in the league now that are white in nature. Yeah. I think he played almost 22 years, 21 years in the league. Right. But the difference is when he told Luka this, when somebody that was coming in the league when he was just about to hang it up, right? Mm-hmm. He said, hey, I think he told certain black players this. I don't think he told Luka, but told black players that you could be blessed and lucky to have a stretch of career like I have. Now today, I can't say most players, if this league is going the way it is with the threes and shooting, that most y'all might not even survive 15, much as 20 years.
No, it's easier because it's less wear and tear on your body to jack up them threes than it is to go down and try to dunk on Elijah Wan and Shaq down there.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yep.
I mean, it'll be you might have a longer career, but the problem is the overall value of the league, especially the career. Because let's be honest, not every player is going to be, let's say, Anthony Davis or anything. Not going to be like that elite player. You get me? You might sustain yourself a little longer, but and here's this, because Luka's going to be up for a contract. I said this with Mace Taggart on another podcast. I said, if you notice, Luka did not sign with the Lakers when he got traded, because usually they sign right away to say we're gonna keep you.
Right.
You ever notice that?
Oh yeah. So
that tells me, and it's just me, I could be wrong, but we're gonna go back if in a few months after the season done, and then go for the draft and they go for their trades and signups. I wouldn't be surprised that Luka signed back with Dallas to a little stronger contract, not max, but like a strong contract, personally. Well, and the reason why I say it's because one of the issues why the Mavericks did not win it. Was it back in 2024, and they didn't make the playoffs here because they don't really got a real interior presence. Because they could probably stop some people with the right foreign guards. Because let's be honest, Luka's not gonna play no damn defense. Kyrie, he could probably play somebody, but he can't because he's not that big of a dude and doesn't have the length to stop opposing guards. So what's the best way to ensure you might be able to win? You need an interior presence so that will keep the paint respectfully. Then you might have a shot.
Yeah, but you know more than you're saying more wisdom and know more stuff than the NBA people, because they want everybody out jacking up threes. And the guy, the 6'9" guy I was telling you about that was dominating, he shot 96% in the paint. The Maverick scout didn't like him, and at the exact same time that we worked out for the Mavericks were getting destroyed in the finals by the Celtics because the Celtics inside play. And what people don't realize is it's inside basketball. It's the centers that win the game.
Yeah, the right big man, either power forward or center, mostly. But usually, if you get like either one, is good. I would say centers, but nowadays we look at in the last, besides Jokic and what's the name, Embiid, or actual centers, you really see some centers really skillful and do protect the paint and score. Like if you look at Embiid, he'll protect it once in a while if he's healthy.
But he's never there.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't count. He's never available.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
So the center position has been eliminated in the NBA.
Yeah,
it's been completely eliminated.
There's no real true center no more. That can give you something that will be a presence that you have to demand double team. Have you noticed that? And they said Jokic demands double team. Yeah, but the problem is he's too skilled of a passer that you don't want to be double teaming every second. You get me?
Well, the problem with Jokic, he doesn't play a true center. He's out there jacking up threes too.
So you will say he's more of a power, but they put him at center position because they say he broke a record this year that he's the first big man to average triple double.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
No, he's
not.
So
why are they saying that? I don't know if I double check in history. Who are the big men besides Jokic that average a triple double in the season?
Wilt averaged a triple double.
Oh, so you see how they disrespect Wilt? They're saying this European man. No, but and you're right because Wilt. Remember, he was averaging 50 points per game, and I don't know what's other stats. Matter of fact, you keep talking. Let me double check that. I think you're right.
Yeah, he had in the finals, in the NBA finals, he averaged 24 rebounds.
Okay.
In his NBA finals appearances,
and he had like 10 assists.
Yeah, he's a hell of a passer.
Oh wow! Let me check. Yeah.
So they say Jokic was the first to average a triple double.
That's what the analyst was saying from.
Oh yeah, that's true. I thought you meant a double double. Yeah, that's true.
No. Oh, sorry. Yeah, triple double. I apologize.
My bad.
Yeah, triple double. Yeah.
But that's super easy to do nowadays.
Correct.
Because there's nobody but him in the paint.
Yeah, you're right.
See, in the 80s, every NBA team in the 80s had 3 7-footers that were active and that would start.
Okay.
Atlanta was an average team, and they had 7-foot John Koncak and 7-foot Tree Rollins, and another 7-footer down there. Can't remember, but and then they had 6'9" 2 guard named Dominique Wilkins.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, the Neek. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, had a big lineman in Georgia at the time. Yeah.
Oh man, in basketball.
I was surprised they didn't win no championship with that lineman. I don't know, maybe because Jordan came around. I probably squandered that, maybe possibly.
Jordan stopped a bunch of teams from winning championships.
Yeah, that's why people didn't like that. That's why I think something happened that led him to retire after 1993 for a reason. They said some rumors going around that his father was deleted for some reason for that. I don't know. I heard
it was for.
I don't know to confirm that, but they think about it. If you won back-to-back championships and no one else can get out and win a championship. Imagine you taking no time off. You could have had, let me see, 6 championships. He could have had a total 8 championships.
Right.
If the team was still intact before they brought Dennis Rodman back in 96, 97. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 96 they brought Dennis Rodman. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So Jordan stopped a lot of good teams from players that could have gotten out and won a championship.
Yeah, he stopped Barkley from winning.
Yeah,
Championship.
Barkley. I don't think Barkley had that person in him.
You don't think what?
Barkley, I don't think he's that man to really win a championship. Him.
Oh, yeah, yes, he is.
You think so?
I've seen him get I've seen him get 35 points and 25 rebounds.
Okay.
And dunk on 7-footers 2 or 3 times in that same game.
Oh wow.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah, for a guy that was 6'5", 6'6", roughly, doing all that. And he's a power forward, I think.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. Unbelievable.
Yeah, for a man at his size do all that, that's crazy.
Yeah, he was.
I think he exert his body because when he tore, I think it was ACL or MCL, back in the mid-90s.
No, I think he's had 2 hip replacement surgeries.
Okay, he didn't have no knee injury.
I don't think so.
So when he went down, it was a hip injury.
Right.
Oh yeah, that in your career.
You talking about a 6? He's about 6'6".
Yeah.
6'6" through anywhere from 275. Sometimes he'd eat his way to 300.
Yeah, and then he dropped back down again, to 200.
Yeah. And with that, he still had a 40-inch vertical jump.
You know what he remind me of? Well, not remind, but you know, one player that would have been like that is Zion Williamson.
Zion.
He's 6'7", but the problem is he can't keep his weight down.
Right.
And and really, he should be far surpassed Barkley because he's younger and he has more of a higher. I think he has 45.
That's what I was telling you.
Yeah,
that's what I was telling you about. There's the guys nowadays have no heart. They have no motivation. They have no hunger whatsoever. Like you said,
no discipline.
Just like you said, entitlement. Now, guys in college, athletes in college are making the same amount of money that NBA and NFL players made in the 90s.
Wow.
So I was at, let's see, where did I go? I went to the Tennessee Auburn basketball game, and the football team came in, and you could tell this guy was a quarterback for Auburn, and he had like a $30,000 chain around his neck at 20 years old, and you know he's got some kind of Ferrari or Lamborghini in the parking lot. That's too much too fast.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
You don't learn before all this big money, men and children had to learn something called the value of $1. And when it's too easily given, that's too much too fast. And then you get a false, when that happens to you, you have a false sense of reality. And the society suffers because those are resources that should go to men, that they would in a natural normal society, those resources would go to men building their families. And that's why we don't have families anymore, because money like that is being poured into sports, and sports is fantasy land. Sports isn't real. It's a fantasy. You got adults playing a child's game. It's not a building block of society. It's not agriculture. It's not manufacturing. It's not the pillars of a society. A society can't be built. There's no sustainability. A society can't be built on entertainment and sports. That's like letting your child eat dessert all the time. and no vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, for guys that's watching, guys, please like the stream. You know, if you want support, you get a super chat or the cash app $ Chaos 8 Rain, etc., 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 etc. And make sure y'all guys subscribe to the channel. Hold on. I was circling around because I was checking some things. Okay, we're gonna still talk about basketball. I was talking about certain players.
Mhm.
What you project this offseason about certain players that's, I would say, problematic for certain teams? You think they should move certain players? Example, Zion to what's the name? John Morant, and who else? I think that's it. Those two players. And besides Giannis, I'm not sure about Giannis. I heard speculation that said that he should ask for trade and all this nonsense. But I'm listening to some so-called experts, but they're not experts, but they give an opinion for especially Giannis to make a move that's gonna be tricky, because if he goes to another team, it's gonna be like almost like a fresh start where there's not much help. It's gonna be him
Right.
because of his contract and the value. You get me?
You know, do you want to know who tells a team when to move a player?
When who tells?
The the owner's banker.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah. Why does LeBron James make whatever NBA team he goes to, they pay him $30 million. Do you know why?
I don't know why. Why?
Because he brings that team 130 million per year. So that owner is going to make $100 million every year LeBron is there.
Okay.
That's
That's a good return for a man that's in his 40s now. That's a good investment.
not bad.
Not bad. Oh, not bad. Yeah, but, a good investment.
Making 100 million off one guy in a year, that's not bad money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what determines whether you move a player or not.
Okay.
Unless he's doing something ridiculously outrageous, then your bottom line, you're looking at the kind of ticket sales that he generates. You're looking at the jersey sales that he generates.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the TV revenue that he generates. That's what you're looking at. And if he's a jerk, if he's an asshole, you can swallow that if he's got your money coming in like crazy. You can laugh. Owners laugh that off if the money's coming in. But
Okay.
the minute the money stops coming in, and the banker's calling you and telling you, hey, your profits are dipping, that's when they're looking to move a guy.
So in the case for Luka Doncic, since you bring this to my knowledge or this information, oh sorry, hold on, I might swear. All right, wouldn't so that move that the owner made, that was a money issue potentially, right? Because
No.
they said that because he's about 26 and he's up for extension, he's gonna be worth for the next 3 or 4 years with a new contract or extension, whatever, it's gonna be worth $345 million in total.
Right.
And but I'm thinking, well, Luka brings attraction, and a lot of people were very shocked. Matter of fact, the fans let them know right back to the owner that was a stupid move.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there has to be something going in that I'm thinking there's a game that Dallas is trying to do right now, that if I trade him and get this piece here, I can get him back over here. That's I'm thinking why they made that move. And they talked to Luka and they're trying to squander or play a game with the Lakers. That's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong.
Well, Luka, to basketball, those numbers that you mentioned are true.
Yeah.
But to basketball people,
Mm-hmm.
Luka's a problem, because the problem is he looks good when he's scoring, but he plays absolutely no defense. He might get you 40 points, but but whoever he guards,
The opposing team will get either equal points or just as close.
exactly, or 50 points.
I think
And
the Lakers game showed that with the Timberwolves, wasn't it? Didn't it show that?
Man, it showed last year when Dallas played
The
Celtics.
yeah,
Celtics in the finals. The Celtics
blow right through him when they saw him.
The Celtics offensive strategy and coaching staff said, if Luka's guarding you, you go right to the hole and get a layup.
There you go. You're right. I saw that.
That's our offense. That's our offense.
Yeah.
Green light. If Luka's guarding you, you green light. Go straight to the hole and get your layup. Get your free money. Get your free bucket. So to basketball people, he's a problem and a headache. And they showed last night in the first 2 years, first year or two of Luka's career, he had 22 dunks. The last 2 years, he's had 2 dunks.
Okay.
So which is telling you he's losing athleticism. Which means
I did not know that.
Which means he's getting fat and sloppy as a player. And when you're fat and sloppy, you're going to have more surgeries and more time away from the game. So Dallas Brass was looking at him as a headache.
Because he's not showing improvement.
Right.
And the funny thing, because he's a European player, and I'm not sure how it goes in Europe between these players, and we all know how it goes here in America because the food diet's different. But it's evident that if you're a top-rated player in your team in the league, your performance has to go beyond the scoring aspect. What are you doing overall as a better player to be better every year? Right. Make yourself an overall player. And that's what the owner said, that because he used to work with Kobe and he see the effort, the work Kobe puts in his game.
Right.
When he looks at Luka and say, you're not even putting half the work. You just sitting to show up for the game. One bump, you get injured one time, you might be out of it or whatever. Or it's like if you don't have a good game, the team suffers worse. Because now you're allowed to on both ends. Right. And people say he looks flashy when he makes 30 points, 40 points. I remember one time, 2 seasons ago, he averaged like over 30 points a game one time.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, the only time he had averaged 30 and they made it out the West is because of the players they picked up in return because of his lack of playing and motivation of being better defensively.
Right.
And here's my thing. That's why I'm thinking that's why they went and made the swap to get Anthony Davis. Because Anthony Davis is an interior presence because he averaged roughly 2 blocks a game. So let's say he decides to come back to the Dallas Mavericks. He thinks by having a big man to save him if he lets somebody blow by him, that's good enough. No, it's not. Right. You have to play a certain amount. Let me tell you something. I wish I watched last night's game with the Lakers and the Timberwolves. I didn't really watch because I know the series is going to be. I thought Lakers going to really beat them. But when I look at how the series began to end, I'm saying no. If this is what the Lakers move forward, they're in trouble. They're very much in trouble. Matter of fact, you got an Asian player that's still playing basketball. I don't know why. Because if you're not trying to at least get a chance to win a championship, you're there just to be there. And that's shimmy not the Lakers and LeBron. I don't care how many times you broke the record of scoring average. No, you're defined by the rings you accumulate. Right. That's me. That's me. And here's my thing. And you can fight me, Terrence. Anybody fight? I'm getting tired of this GOAT talk conversation. He is nowhere near the goddamn GOAT.
No. Oh, LeBron. I have him ranked 15th.
Damn, that's even worse. I even rank him that low. I would say he's maybe an average of subpar 5th or higher. But in regards, I would not sit there and say that he is the GOAT because that is a disrespect conversation because the players that came before him were a different breed.
Right. Okay? They play real basketball. This ain't real basketball.
No, it's not.
This stuff is soft.
Anthony, this is pickup basketball. This is like from the playground basketball. You're just shooting and then not doing nothing.
Right. Jack up ball is soft. There's no big men. There's no post up.
Yeah.
The 80s, 90s, and 2000 was all built on post up. Mm-hmm. And
get in the paint, easy scoring. You know what I'm saying? Cause fouls. You know what I'm saying? Put
Right.
the pressure on defense. Commit that big man or any man that knows get to paint effectively. You put pressure on defense. And now say we don't want him because he's going to score or we're going to foul. It's not
Yep.
like that no more.
No. No, it's easy basketball. It's soft. It's super soft.
Yeah.
And the Luka style, it's been like the Bible says. The Bible says it best. There's nothing new under the sun. There used to be a player named Pete Maravich that's doing what Luka's doing. Pete
Oh
Pete
wow,
would,
Pistol Pete. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
he would get. Well, I think one year he averaged 40 points, but I don't think he ever won a playoff series. Scoring is not winning.
Wow.
To win in basketball, that's what the Dallas Maverick executive said when he traded Luka. He said defense wins championships.
Exactly. He knows
Right.
this. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's been
And
on a few teams that had played both ends effective and won championships. Because let me tell you, if he was GM and used to work with the greats like Kobe and anybody else back of that era, he knows what it takes to win a championship. And he looks at Luka and look at his performance the last 2-3 years because
Yep.
he been in Dallas since 2018, so that's roughly 7 years before they trade him.
Yep.
That he looks at overall saying, if I give this money, can we? It's like this: is this man that I could depend on to potentially win?
Can you take us to the promised land? Hell no.
At least, and win at least 2 or maybe 3 championships if I give you a longer stay in this team. And he come to conclude say, absolutely not. This dude is not dedicated.
Nope.
He's not disciplined.
Nope.
He doesn't take pride in improving himself as a basketball player.
Nope.
He just come up and show up. They say he used to drink and say all this stuff. And you know, one player I know there's a Eastern European player that takes pride in his health. And I don't know if he plays defense called Sabonis, a Spanish big man from the Kings.
Oh, Arvidas.
Yeah,
No, he was Russian.
He rushed, yeah, Sabonis, right? The big man, power forward center, right?
Yep.
I was watching how he take care of his diet.
Yep.
He said that he at times because he's back at home in his homeland, he'll cheat a little bit, but when he's back in America, he has to be very strict and he takes pride in strictness to be a performer. I don't see it with Luka.
Nope. Luka, you see a fat Pillsbury doughboy that can shoot.
Yeah.
I'm the top trainer in the world, trainer and dietitian.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how Kobe did it. You have to be dedicated. John Spider Sally, he won a few rings in the 90s, and he's with the Bad Boy Pistons. He's vegetarian now. He's been vegetarian for 15 years.
Okay.
You have to take this stuff very seriously. And what the problem is, like I told you, it's way too much money in this. These guys are. Luka can look in his bank account and see dang $100 million in there. So when you can do that, you don't have any kind of motivation. What who do you have to get better for? Who do you have to answer to? No damn body.
Nobody.
You have a fuck you attitude.
Yes, of course. Yes.
What I gotta listen to you for? And I got 100 million in my account.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? Oh, you're nobody. You're nothing compared to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 100 million in his account, and he's about to get more.
Mm.
So what does he have to answer to? What standard does he have? Does he have to aspire to? None. Nothing. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not ingrained in him and instilled in him already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too much money. The money's too rich. Like you said, in Europe, Euroball, that's tough man basketball. That's what the NBA used to be, because the average salary there is $100,000, $200,000. So guys are hungry. They're fighting. They're motivated. Hey, I gotta improve on this, because as a scout, the worst thing we have a saying among scouts. If a guy can do one thing well, he's a one-trick pony. That's the worst thing you can be, is a one-trick pony. If you can do one thing good, we're like, damn, is that all you can do? the game is scoring, shooting, assisting, rebounding, and defending. And you're showing me one thing.
One thing only, and that's the danger of a lot of these players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they don't last long. I could name a few players that were very good in one area and made
Exactly.
all-stars and made all NBA, but when it comes to getting out and playing in the finals, very few make that.
They don't show up.
Come on, Anthony. Good players, he never got out of any conference, Eastern or Western.
Right.
I think his son will have better shot if he does something different than his father. He might be the one, but the father, because he played so long in the NBA, I would expect better. But because of, like I said, what type of player are you, and how much you want it, and how much you practice on both ends or anything, it's going to determine factor what your career output is. You get me?
Right.
And you see, one thing when Kobe was live, he said it best. He thrives on competition. He thrives on trying to defend the opposing player. He's not that one person that he tells you he doesn't be one side. Regardless, people might think he is. He's not. You watch how Kobe plays consistently. You get me?
Right.
And the funny thing about it, I remember one time there was a story one time with Kobe, and this is why I can remember. I could be wrong. That when he was in the Laker practice, right, and when the practice was done, he told the on mixed cups that say, "Yo, you going to have to tighten up. These players need to tighten up, man. They're making me play poor."
Yeah.
That's a statement right there.
This ain't good enough.
That's a statement. And this guy has so many injuries that because his productivity started to decline after 2023. 2013. Sorry, Kobe.
Right.
He still has that hunger that competitive spirits say you got to play at a certain level.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Kobe, what made Kobe was he was able to develop himself to the point to where he was unstoppable and unguardable.
Yeah, exactly.
And people don't realize Kobe. When did Kobe's NBA career start?
It started in 1996.
No, sir. It started when he was 3 or 4 years old, because his father was on the Philadelphia 76er team that played against. His father was Jelly Bean Bryant, Joe Jelly Bean Bryant, that played in the 1977 NBA Finals on the Philadelphia 76er team against Bill Walton's Portland Trail Blazers. So, so you got a 3 and 4 year old Kobe down on the floor working out with NBA players at 3 and 4 years old.
Okay.
And same thing with Steph Curry.
Where's his father?
Yeah, Kobe hadn't. People would think Steph Curry's been in the league 14, 15 years. Hell no.
No, but you see, Steph Curry, because he come from basketball pedigree, he was groomed for this.
Right.
And here's my thing. Here's a fact. I remember Alonzo, the father, I think what's his name, the ball, the father, the Mr. Ball.
Alonzo, yeah.
Not Alonzo,
Alonzo's father.
LeVar Ball.
LeVar
Ball said best. He said, and it stuck to me. He said this: most players that are very good, their sons become mediocre, but the ones that were subpar, their sons become superior, because whatever
hunger.
What?
Hunger.
Yeah, the hunger, and they even hunger depending on how subpar the father is, that how much more they put into their sons.
Right.
And depending on the son's one, but most likely if the father played in the league and he was a subpar player, his son's gonna probably play superb on the average. You get me? So if you got a star, if you got a father that was like an NBA all-star and like doing numbers up, 9/10 time, if the son falls on his footsteps, he's not gonna be as top. Roughly.
Right. The kid is gonna be pampered, and that's what
there
you see.
Go. Yep.
That's what you see. That's what you see with Bronny.
Yeah, and I think they said the second the boy might be more better if he decides to play all the way through. The one that's taller, he might be the same height as father.
Yeah.
Get there. He
No.
said he might show more promise than Bronny, but that's case in point. But like I said, most fathers that are superstars, their sons become mediocre if they
Right.
decide to follow footsteps. So
Yeah.
I look at Shador. Let's go back to football just briefly, then we'll go back to basketball briefly. That Deion Sanders was a superb athlete.
Right.
His son, not the case. Regardless if he didn't do the combine or the interviews are poor. If you look at the output performance of his son, he's intelligent because he's been around intelligent quarterbacks. But regardless performance output, he's not that. You get me?
Right.
And the reason why that is because remember, it goes like the saying goes: if the father's superstar, the sons are gonna be mediocre.
Right.
It's a balance. You're
Right.
not gonna find where father's great, the son's gonna be great. It don't work like it all the time. You might get one of them. But overall, if your father's superb, most likely if the son follows the footstep, he's gonna be mediocre on the average. So
Yeah.
when we look at LeVar Ball's sons, one of them doing pretty well, the youngest. The
Yeah.
oldest one, you know, because he has knee injuries, he could be even as good or greater as the youngest. You get me? And the
Yeah.
middle one, he screwed up because he stole something in while he was in college. If he didn't steal, I think he would have been in the league right now. Perfect. Because they said he has a record of being a theft. You get me? And that
Damn.
will hurt the prospect.
Oh yeah.
That will hurt. Let me tell you, if anything what you do that's criminal and it could get you locked behind bars and someone has to come and step in to save you, most likely the people that will pick you up, they don't want that because you make a poor decision by stealing and you already got money.
So you're damaging the image,
Mm-hmm.
and you're disrespecting the logo and the shield
Yes.
and the
Yes.
product, and
Yeah.
those leagues cannot afford hits to their image.
Exactly. If they drafted you, you
Right.
know?
You have, your image has to be perfect.
At least, or subpar perfect. Now, a lot of people say, wait, Chaos, but a white man do it, they'll still hire him. I said, well, maybe could, but here's the problem. They run the league. We don't.
Right.
There's a difference. You as a black man, you gotta run the narrow path, the
Right.
straight and narrow path.
Mhm.
You can't have no flaws. You gotta be goddamn perfect.
Yep.
Just to make it in the league. And I'm not saying perfect in stat. If you could, that'd be good. But really, in general, in all aspects of life,
Yeah.
if you do something criminal, that's gonna be a scar on you that people are not gonna overlook.
Yeah. You can't stain the image and the corporate image that the leagues have built up. You cannot do it.
Hey, you know, and the reason why I mentioned Shador, but I go for it even with basketball with John Morant. You're staining the image of the NBA, and you came out of a
Right.
so-called pretty decent middle class from South Carolina, and you showing up doing guns and all that stuff. Are you out here? Let me tell you something. The reason why Adam Silver did not kick him off is because he already got the contract extension, and they said he's supposed to be the next in line to be the face of the league. I said that's not possible.
Well, you remember what I told you. They go by. They don't pick the guys on the team. Their banker does.
Yes.
And when he brings you the
The
balance sheet of what this guy is bringing in. Hey, wait a minute. This guy is making you 50 million a year. Oh hell! I was gonna get rid of him, but since you told me that, no, he can stay.
Yeah.
That's how they talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
Ja,
that's
like you said, he's a wannabe. He sees this gangster stuff on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And in Memphis, I used to live in Memphis. Memphis it's a gangster town, a lot of shootings and killings, and it's glorified. Gangster life is glorified in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And in the rap music, this damn rap music glorifies it, and he identifies with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because being a starched down, buttoned up professional, that's not exciting. And that's why so many females are single moms, because they want the exciting guy, the guy the rappers rap about that's got guns and shooting and doing crimes and acting crazy and smoking dope and acting a fool. That's exciting. Uh, so they get with guys like that. The regular, normal, professional guys, they're boring, and so
Mhm.
Ja Morant has bought into that idea the same way most females have. Most black females have.
Mhm.
They want the exciting guy. Not the boring guy. And Ja wants the exciting life, the gun life,
Mhm.
not the boring life. The Steph Curry wanting pictures with his family and going on vacations with his family. That's too boring for him.
Yeah. He can't live a quiet life, man, and make
Exactly.
it. And that's the problem. And like I said, and I think one particular content was covering John Morant and saying that they should trade him while before he starts declining because of a history of injury and not really performing in regards to other areas of his game that could be better. Like this guy don't take jump shots. I did not know that.
Right.
That's the problem. This is a shooting lead at 6'2", 6'3" and a half, probably 6'3", and you can go to the paint as much time as you want, but like I said, you're going to injure yourself because you don't have the necessary muscle to sustain those bumps.
Right.
And you're going to the paint every time because you cannot make consistent jump shots. That's a problem.
Right. He doesn't have a shot.
Yeah, and I was surprised that you didn't have a shot. You got drafted high and you did not even work on your jump shot. I mean, I'm not saying you're worse than Ben Simmons, but come on, man, you're an undersized guard. Yep. You got to shoot one way or because now let's say you're not gonna be able to. That means you know how much time it's going to be hard for you to beat somebody off the dribble. If you're able to do that constantly, right. You're working yourself more.
Well, we stack the defense against you, and we say they'll tell you, oh, he can't shoot, let him drive. Just let him shoot.
Back off.
Yeah, back off of him, let him shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let him drive. Same way they used to play LeBron. They would teams would do what they call build a wall.
Oh.
And what they do is whenever LeBron put his head down, he's too big and strong for one man to stop. So they'd bring three guys.
Yeah.
See, one guy, LeBron is 270 pounds.
I know.
The guy guard.
Linebacker. Yeah. For 6'8" man. Linebacker. When he put his head down.
Lineman.
Put his head down and drives it's like a thunder. Like especially when he rides up and dunk. Woo!
And there's a 220-pound man guarding him. So that's a disadvantaged defense. But if you get three 220-pound guys, that's 600, 700 pounds.
Or get somebody
that's can't knock that over.
At best. You know what I'm saying? In front,
well, the 250 don't have the foot speed. So what you do is you get three guys to clog the paint and stop the drive. Okay. They call it building a wall.
Building a wall. A good wall. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. They say he struggled guarding some people during the series. They say he struggled guarding Randolph, which I was surprised because Randolph's more of LeBron. Yeah. Because Randolph's more of a say he's a semi-athletic big power forward, for 6'8", 6'9", which I was surprised he was struggling defending him because usually Randall, all he does is he'll take you in the paint, most likely.
Well, LeBron's got the same disease Luka's got. He's fat and entitled, made $1 billion. So what's his motivation to play defense? He doesn't have any.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Defense is played by hungry guys.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be a hungry hard dick. You're trying to make the team next year.
Yeah.
LeBron has no kind of hunger whatsoever. He's got $1 billion in his account, a lifetime Nike contract.
Yeah.
Defense is for hungry guys.
Correct. Yeah, that want more. Say, I need this money. I need that millions. Like you got LeBron. I need that paper.
Right.
They ain't gonna pay me just by doing what you do. No, they're gonna pay me by doing something different. That means locking you down.
Right. What's his name? The guy went to the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. Draymond Green. That's who we're talking about.
Oh, you mean Golden State Warriors?
Yeah. No offensive game. Can't shoot. Can't score in the paint.
Yeah.
So to make the team, he's got to do what? He's got to bust his ass on defense.
Yeah, you got to play both ends properly. You know, so you're going to have to be a hustle place. And I think that's what makes Josh Hart very unique, because I'm more of a New York fan. And they just beat the Detroit Pistons. I got to check the highlights after this. And I'm thinking, saying, one thing Josh Hart is well known, he's a hustler. He plays both ends.
Exactly. He's a hunger guy.
Yeah, and that's why when New York picked him up, that's what they need. That one hunger guy. And he does that. Night in basis.
Right.
And one thing with Jalen Brunson, people don't know, because his father did play in the league, but his son, because he's been around basketball all his life, and even including like Kobe, he's the same thing. You get me?
Yeah.
He said, if you go back in interviews with Jalen Brunson, he said the only time he start really interact with kids is when he was in school. I think it was middle school or high school. I forgot what it was. One of them. That's the only time he's been around kids. Most of the time he's been around adults that's in the league. So basketball is ingrained in him. That's why he's so good a player as he is now.
Right. Well, his father, Jalen's father, he's a buddy of mine, Rick Brunson, and he played at Temple under John Chaney. I was that was one of the places that I was gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jalen, my point is, Jalen was born into it. That's the fastest way. That's the fastest way to success, is if you're born into it. And your father can show you the tricks of the trade from the time you sitting in the baby, what's the baby thing called, where babies in the playpen. Your daddy can put a basketball in your hand when you in the playpen. He can put a basketball goal in the playpen, because it's in your blood, it's in your DNA, it's in your genes. That's the fastest way to have sports success, because he knows all the drills. Dad knows all the drills. Dad knows, and he can take you around all the old players that are gonna show you some tips and some tricks. Yeah, that's the fastest way.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I kind of like the what's the word? The journey, the actual hero's journey, or I like to call it the sportsman's journey,
right,
to greatness. You know, and Jalen is a example of that. And there's some other players I could probably name that their fathers were subpar, but the sons do great things. A lot of people never expect Stephen Curry to be the player he is in the last decade. You know what I'm saying? But it said, the reason why he is a player is because Steve Kerr was around people that study and construct systems.
Steve Kerr?
Yeah, Steve Kerr, yeah, the coach for the Golden State Warriors.
No, Steve's a buddy of mine. No, his dad, Steph's dad, Dell Curry.
Yeah, I know Dell, but I'm talking about Steve Kerr, the coach, that why the Golden State is so successful, because they have a system in place that works for Stephen and the players around him.
No, they just green light him. They don't have a system. That's why when Bogut left, when as soon as Golden State lost the big man, they were trash.
Okay.
They got real average real fast. See, people don't realize it was Bogut. Bogut was opening up shooting opportunities for Steph.
Okay.
Bogut was setting picks and doing the Dennis Rodman dirty work, doing the dirty jobs.
Okay.
By setting picks, getting offensive boards, doing occasional post up. And when you have an inside guy, when you have a center that is a space eater and can score, doesn't have to score 30 or 40, but when he can score, when he does that, he gives that guard an extra second or 2 seconds to get his shot off and create space.
Extra possession. Extra possession too.
Extra possessions and gives the guards space, gives the guards more time to shoot and more space to do their dribble drives if the defense over leverages on the shooter.
Okay.
But Golden State hadn't had a big man. That's why they're struggling now. And so they drafted James something out of Memphis State like 4 years ago, and he was a bust. James Wiseman, and he turned out to be a bust.
Oh, I know. Did he once play for the center for the Miami Heat? Wiseman?
They might have traded him to Miami, but he started out as a lottery pick for Golden State, and they've never replaced Bogut.
No.
And so
remember Bogut was a first round draft pick in 1995.
Yep.
Or no, 95 or 97?
Yes,
yeah, 95.
sir.
It was 95. Yeah. No, sorry, 2005.
Right.
2000. Yeah, I got to double check. Go talk. I remember that pickup. Yeah. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks. Let me double check. Go ahead.
Big Bogut. Yeah. He was out of Utah. And he would create space and opportunities for the shooters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to in order to win in basketball, you have to have a paint presence, somebody in the paint and body shop doing dirty work. NBA teams have gotten away from that, but anybody and everybody that wins the championship.
Okay, let me check.
Anybody and everybody that wins a championship goes back to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. What year Andrew Bogut was drafted?
BOGUT.
Don't worry. It'll understand.
BOG.
No, I said NBA. NBA. Hold on. NBA draft. It'll recognize it. Draft.
Mm-hmm.
TR. All right. Draft. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I think I spelled his name wrong. Let me retype. Oh no, wait. No. Yeah, I can spell his name. I got to respell his name. Andrew. I think his name Andrew Bogut, right?
BOGUT.
All right. Hold on. Andrew B U what? B what?
BOGUT.
BOUG.
No, BOGUT.
Oh, BOG. I mean BOG.
BOGUT.
UT. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was drafted in the NBA. All right. That should come out now. Yeah, I was right. 20 years ago. I was right. Ain't that something? 20 years ago. Yeah, everything lines up after a whole generation, and he retired back in, was it 2015, 2016? I think it's one of them years. He was done. I think after when he won his championship for the first time, he just started hanging up. After
he played a couple of more years after that, try to keep it going, because he's the reason LeBron Cleveland team came back from 3-1. Is he got hurt
because they have no interior presence. I know.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Because remember, all LeBron had to do is get in the paint, and they couldn't stop that. Because they say he was averaging almost 37 points a game during the 2016 finals against the Golden State. I could be wrong. I got to double check. It was like over 35 points.
Well, Golden State had damn near swept them, but when Bogut hurt his ankle, it became a highway. It became the lane became a LeBron highway to the rim. He didn't have nobody. He didn't have anybody to
protect the rim from LeBron James.
Yeah. Right. So that was LeBron has won 4 championships. That was one of his bogus championships. He's really won 2.
Yeah, with the Heat.
Yeah. And
that was the only team that he had more success.
Right. And one championship that he came back was because, like we just said, Bogut got hurt, so it was an express lane to the rim, easy layups. The other bogus championship that LeBron won that he really didn't win was when who's the shooter? The guy, the 3-point shooter from that started out with Seattle, bailed him out.
Oh yeah. Ray Allen. Yeah, when they cut, and that game was questionable because Pops took Duncan out for no reason, and once they couldn't maintain the rebound game when Duncan was out for that last few seconds. Chris Bosh got the rebound and he was able to find an open shooter, and they made the three to make it.
Ray Allen bailed him out.
Yeah.
So LeBron's won two real championships out of 11 or 12 finals visits, which is a very poor percentage.
Yeah, is he the first player in NBA history that gone to finals more times and never had an average of 50 or higher to win a championship after being in the finals for over 11 years? Is he the first player in NBA history to be in the finals for more than 11 years without winning average of 50% or more of your rings? And let me be in clarity. Since 2010 up to 28, I believe because he went to Lakers in 2019. They didn't even get to the playoffs. So we're looking at a period over 9 years, if I'm right.
Right.
Yeah.
Him and Chamberlain. Chamberlain won 2 out of 12.
Okay,
and
so it could be worse.
What's his name? Jerry West. He won like 1 out of 7. So
So him as a player, as a lone player, when he gets to the finals, roughly is not even a quarter or a half. He's going to win the ring. Right. It's like what's the percentage? 2010, 2019. Yeah, that's a poor percentage.
Yeah,
I mean, if LeBron gets to the finals, 30% chance he might give you the title.
Right. Four rings in 10 or 11 tries.
Yeah, that's not a good percentage,
Right. Yeah, in school, if you get a 40%, that grade is called what? An F.
Failure. Yeah. Well, right now it might be failure for now, but they changed now. Now they said a D is a C. You hear the stupid shit on. So now they changed the rules of what is failure now, which is really stupid, but that's not
right. Yeah.
But personally, with him for his history, and I think if he would stay with a structured organization like the Miami Heat, he should win more. But because he's a man that really want to give the ring to Cleveland, I get it, because you want to be known that you at least brought a championship back home, which is fine. But my issue is that if you're trying to ring hop or get a much championship, you should do that instead of trying to be in LA, trying to be a movie star or have this big. First of all, you could get that when you're done with basketball. Why are you still playing basketball and not even?
No, you can't get that when you're done, because Red Auerbach said it best. Yeah. There's nothing worse than yesterday's hero.
Okay.
So you got to. What did your mama say? What did my mama say? What was their advice to us? Strike when the iron is what?
It's hot. Yep. Yeah. And he refused to do that. And I don't care what people said. Maybe this is the reason why he's doing. No, you should be as any competitive player, because this is your name, this is your legacy. This is what people are going to keep talking about. They're not going to really think about you or the leading scorer. They always think about what have you really accomplished besides the 3 or 4 MVPs and 4 championships. What really we could say that when people go back in history or go back in the next 10 years from now, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to be calling your name, bro, unless they're talking about older players. Why Michael Jordan still being relevant? Because not only Nike, but he's a player in himself. You get me? We can still go back to the highlights right now. People outside America still will know what Jordan is, and he hasn't played for over 20 years, 22 years. Because he left a stamp
Jordan has something you can never take away, and that's called 6 for 6 for 6.
Boom! Say that again for people in the back.
Jordan has something that nobody anywhere could take away. It's called 6 for 6 for 6. He went to 6 NBA finals. He won
Everyone.
6 NBA titles, and he was MVP 6 times.
Finals MVP, right?
Finals MVP 6 times.
And what
six
is the
for six,
ratio?
six.
That's 100% right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anytime he gets to the finals, it's guaranteed you getting that ring.
It's kind of hard to argue with perfection.
Yeah. And
It's
and
kind
listen,
of hard.
when was the last time you hear a player that perfect? Bill
Never.
Russell, Bill Russell? When Bill Russell went back-to-back championship with the Boston Celtics, Bill Russell?
Well, Bill won 11, but what people don't realize, there were like today's junior high AAU teams practice more than NBA teams practice back then. The NBA back then was the YMCA league.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, the season was like 3 or 4 months. There were like 10 teams. Average salary was $20,000. Players had to get jobs in the off season. It was not serious.
Oh wow! I forgot about it, how it was back then. But a lot of people think that that's a great accomplishment. No, it's not, because
No, it's not.
So when we look at the Boston Celtics, because Boston's got 18 championships, and that's an accomplishment in itself. But we got to think about, look at the quality of basketball back in the 50s up to early 60s to now.
Basketball wasn't major. Junior high teams practice harder than NBA teams practice back then.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Of course.
Average salary was $20,000. $20,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't serious back then.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even let blacks in the league.
Yeah, I know that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we had like a Negro league in basketball, just like in baseball.
No, there was no Negro league. It was called the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, that's even worse. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So,
and in like 1959, the Globetrotters beat the Lakers in Los Angeles.
Okay.
In an exhibition game. They didn't let blacks play in the NBA.
Oh, okay.
So it was nowhere near the basketball. Basketball was not anything major back then. So Bill Russell, in order to compare eras, what you do is you look at the equivalency of a modern player from an older, earlier era player, and Russell's modern equivalent, body type and skill level, is Chris Bosh.
Okay.
And Chris Bosh won how many titles? He won 2 on a loaded team. So Bill Russell would win 1 or 2, maybe 2 titles if he played in this modern era.
Correct. I agree. Even before this modern era, but if he played back in the 90s up to the 2000s, he would at least won 1 or 2 rings. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Not no crazy 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. That's why a lot of people don't talk about, because we look at how the league was back in like 7 years ago to now. Say, you're not gonna be much remember. Only you're gonna remember people in Boston, but anyone's like globally, no, ain't nobody gonna recognize. But they'll recognize Jordan because Jordan was superb.
Right.
You get it?
Jordan is the standard, and the problem with the NBA is they have, since he retired, they have not been able to replace him.
You're right. You think Kobe will be able to close, but I think with Kobe, I think his issue is the Los Angeles Lakers, the team he's on. I just don't see it. Him being that guy on LA. If he was the East Coast doing what he did, I think he'd been close. Personally. And that people could argue me down for this, but I'm positive that the conference where you are, you're not gonna be great like that because too much competition in the West.
Well, the difference between Kobe and Mike, Mike's number one of all time. Kobe's number two.
Yeah.
Kobe did not have the charisma that Mike had.
Okay.
Kobe didn't have to overcome what Mike had to overcome. When Mike got to Chicago, Chicago had always been a shitbag.
Okay.
Chicago was always a dumpster fire. So Mike built Chicago from nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
Right.
Kobe inherited. Kobe was a spoiled child that inherited
a well-established franchise.
Right.
I agree.
And so when you do that, every great story is about one thing and one thing only: going from slavery to freedom. Mike had to do that. Kobe didn't. Kobe was a carbon copy of Mike, and the carbon copy is never as valuable or as sharp as the original. You always get blurred lines and not as good as copy on a copy as you do the original, no matter what it is. So the Kobe story is not as strong as Mike, nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Nobody was coming to Bulls games till they drafted this kid out of North Carolina, 1984, who started averaging 30 points.
Yeah. You're right.
And nobody could guard him. And he got 60 points in a game in the playoffs on Larry Bird.
And I remember that game with, I think when they made the playoffs, he was like, yeah.
And one of the second main thing about Mike, Mike started big time shoe design, manufacturing, and international sales.
No one talks about that.
There was a company that was getting ready to go bankrupt.
Nike, I know.
Owned by Phil Knight, named, you beat me to the punch, named Nike. They were about to go bankrupt.
And one thing before you continue on this, I looked up Nike's history, right? And they've been around now. Next year will mark 50 years since the company was established, 1976, right? And throughout the span,
1970 what?
1976, it was established. Nike.
Right.
And over the first period of the first 8 years, if I'm right, 1976 to 484, right?
Right.
And there was a movie that talks in detail about this.
Right.
And people should watch this. That for them to survive, they need a person that will wear the brand, but not only wear the brand, but make people desire to wear it, because it gives it more context to why.
No, that's what makes the thing sell.
Yeah.
Sprite had a commercial in the 80s or 90s that explained it all. At the end of the commercial, they said, "Image is everything." Like I said twice, and I can't say enough, Nike was about to go bankrupt before Magic and Bird played each other in the 79 NCAA finals, the NBA was about to go bankrupt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that lets you know how big these guys are. These guys are huge. So what saved Nike from bankruptcy?
Take a shot, take a chance on a kid that came
No,
from a
no.
national championship
Right.
that was gonna be
Watch
drafted.
this. Watch
Yeah.
this. Watch this.
Okay.
They gave Mike $1 million contract and
Mhm.
designed some black and red shoes for him to wear.
And not only, but it matches his foot. A
Right.
shoe that matches his foot. Cause I know sneakers back then didn't match his feet that I didn't know of.
And
Most
from
yeah.
from that $1 million, a year later, from that one shoe and that one man,
Mm-hmm.
Nike made $150 million.
Mm.
And remember, the dollar back then was worth at least 40 times more than what it's worth today. So that 150 million was really, ooh,
Probably like 3-5 billion. I'm just guessing.
right. 150 million times 40.
Mm-hmm. So we're looking at $4
So
billion.
yeah. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. So I was right. Yeah.
Kobe didn't do any of that.
No, it was already handed to him. when he
It was
came over.
handed. He inherited it.
Yeah. And you know, my biggest issue with the NBA, and I think they'll do this if Michael Jordan, God forbid, he dies or transitions, they're
Mhm.
gonna put his image on a logo. They're not gonna do it now because he's alive.
Right.
And they said they're not gonna replace Jerry West. I say
Right.
no, they will when the time is right. They will. How I says, do you know how the league's going right now? If Michael Jordan, let's say, God forbid, transitions, right?
Mhm.
That will bring extra boost and attention to NBA, regardless how they're shooting 3 points. You know how they do it? They put the image, the logo.
Right.
And a lot of black folks, men in general, will sit there and say, I still respect play game because of this image, this man. And he'll be completely certified a god permanently. You get me?
Right. And they could very well do that if and when they're facing bankruptcy. If the fan participation drops, then they very well could make that move, but it would have to be a desperate move, because when prosperity pampers the mind, adversity strengthens it. So they have billions of dollars, so there's no need for change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why that's why the NBA game is trash today, because the players are they're already okay. I talked this over with players and other professional people. When your NBA is 90% black. These guys come from poor backgrounds. So when you're in the ghetto, what's a world championship when you're poor? A world championship when you're poor is what? $1 million. Everybody dreams and fantasizes about having $1 million in the ghetto. When you reach the NBA and the average salary is $3 or $4 million, the average guy's got $5-10 million. Guess what? That's his championship. So these players have already won championships financially.
Mm-hmm.
These players have already won championships socially, image wise. So that the hunger's gone. There's nothing to really fight for. There's no eye of the tiger, as Stallone would say in Rocky III. There's no eye of the tiger. So the product, the NBA product, it has suffered tremendously.
Mm.
I don't know how people still watch it.
I think it's international people watching NBA
Right.
right now.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
here in America, but remember, they positioned themselves for the last over a decade, maybe close to 15 more years of being more rounded internationally completely, because the
Right.
money is not only in-house but out of house. You make more money out of house than you would in-house, roughly. That's how it goes. Because if you spread yourself wide, you'll get all
You mean
type.
internationally?
Yes, correct.
No,
And
that's a theory, but that's not true because
mhm.
for the simple fact, the international countries, one, they don't have the money to send to America, and two,
Why did I think of that?
yep, and so I've been to 34 different countries, and two, uh, you have to build your if when you're a business,
Mhm.
your strongest constituency and your strongest customer client base has to come close to you. When
Okay.
you look at a target, is the bullseye the furthest point away? No, the bullseye is what? Right dead in the middle.
Okay.
And that's you have to build a local fan base. It's what sustains any business.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now
So
the NBA could be looking for fool's gold all over the world, but it's not it's not sustainable.
so with these TV deals that people can watch anywhere, including internationally,
Mhm.
and let's say the ratings drop, like they said, that's a reflection of not only people that might be attending, but that's also people watching it as well, correct?
Right.
So let's say the consumer market in the United States is plummeting. The international that has access to internet, cable, and all that stuff are not watching Western basketball right now.
Oh yeah. Uh, they very well could be, but no, they're not. They're not going to do it because they're dedicated to what? They're already dedicated. Dedicated to what? Soccer. You
Oh, I
you're
forgot
not
about that.
you're not
Yeah,
you're not going to replace soccer in any way, shape, or form. You can forget about that, buddy,
yeah, you can forget about that.
because uh people the fan base for soccer started with their great grandfather.
Hmm.
There was a guy in Brazil. He was watching the World Cup final,
Mm-hmm.
and his TV broke, and he committed suicide and left a note, and he said, "I I I deleted myself. I apologize to my country. I deleted myself because my TV broke and I was not able to support the team when it needed me."
Wow, I did not know that. Oh,
Yes.
whoa! I didn't know soccer. I heard stories of people that if you're a soccer player in a certain team and you does some effed up, they
Yep.
will delete you in your home country.
Yeah, you gone. You out of here,
Listen,
buddy.
that is a sport. I'm glad we don't catch these concepts here in America with that. But because soccer is well more popularized, people take it to the heart. Seriously. And I did not know that
No,
until
no,
I just
they don't take it to the heart. They take it to the culture.
all right, the culture. All right.
Culture.
All right.
Uh when I went to the World Cup in Brazil, I went to the World Cup in Brazil 2012, 2004, I can't remember when.
Mm-hmm.
Uh when it was the preliminary rounds, not even the championship rounds. Those were not fans. They were soldiers. They were carrying their flags, and they were ready to. They jump in the other team's face, ready to fight.
Hmm.
It's not no calm, cool, collected, nothing like you see with the U.S. fans ordering they wine and getting they steak sandwiches and
Hmm.
getting they hamburgers at the concession stand, getting a beer. What kind of beer you want, man? What kind of sandwich you want? Hell no, it ain't nothing like that. No, they're yelling and screaming they screaming so strong that spit is coming out of their mouth. They carrying a flag. They singing their national anthem, and they are ready to go to war. They're ready to fight. They're ready to shoot. They're ready to stab. It's a different level that America has not seen.
Okay. All right.
And so the NBA, you're not about to take that fan base, because, like I said, in soccer, those people's great grandfather grew up with that team and that country, and it's too deeply ingrained. They've been supporting, that family's been supporting that country for 80 years now.
Wow. Wow. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Well, okay. I learned a lot now because I'm not a soccer person, but I understand the importance of it now outside America. And yeah, if people still loyal to soccer, yeah, basketball is not going to really peak internationally. There might have some players that might learn the fundamentals that they're good at overseas with basketball. But regardless of fan base, no, that's not happening anytime soon, because that's the main sport. So obviously, is the best interest of NBA that they're going to have to keep monitoring these low viewer rates, because really truly, I project if it gets too low, what's going to happen, in my opinion, they're going to start not only cutting back, but they're going to start say we're going to have to remove certain things that make it so training for the average player is doing to get back, and they will do that if the money goes start to belly up. Because if they're watching the bank accounts, their accountants talk about certain things, yeah, they will make changes. AMSA will do that. You think now that the 3-point line is still available? Think again. If this continues the low rate, he's going to soon pull that. That'd be the first thing, because he knows he's going to find what's making people stop watching. Oh, you take too much threes. And he, one time people ask him about, say, do you think it's a problem? He said, no, it's not a problem. He's lying. He's lying. Right. Because if somebody asks you the problem because they look at the numbers at the ratings low, why is that? And you say it's not a big issue, you're lying to your consumer base.
Yeah, but he's a shrewd businessman, and he doesn't want to mess up the brand.
Yeah, because he has other investors around these 32 billionaires that help keep this,
right?
You know, that
the machine running.
Well, yeah, and if they know it's going to be by the bottom line in another year or two, they're going to start to take away certain things that these players are accustomed to. So moving forward, this last question, I go to wrap this up. In regards to the NFL prospects, what do they look for in regards to drafting a player to potentially be in the NFL in all positions? What do they look for the most? I'm not football first, so I had to ask somebody that's done it.
First we start with the measurables. Measurables: height, weight, 40 time, 225-pound bench reps, your cone, running your cones. We look at the measurables. Then we look at the immeasurables, your character. What kind of teammate are you? How can you contribute to team chemistry? What kind of citizen are you? What kind of grades do you have? And that's what messed up Shedeur. He skipped a lot of interviews. Then another way we look at that is look at your Wonderlic test, your IQ, and see if you can how do you fit in the team culture. So we're looking at measurables and we're looking at immeasurables, things you can measure and things you can't measure. We're going to measure your body, and then to the best of our ability, we're going to measure your heart and your mind. And that's the hardest thing to do. And in Shedeur's case, him coming up short in the immeasurables. He came up short in the character. Not that he had bad character, but he skipped interviews and wouldn't allow himself to be, uh, wouldn't allow teams to see how they fit, see how he would fit in the culture. And that's very important because as a quarterback, they're handing you the keys to the kingdom. Because a franchise is that's a that's a $10 billion car that they're handing you the keys to. And when you're at home, your father has a car that's worth $5,000 to $20,000, and he thinks over a bunch of things before he lets you drive. Same thing with NFL teams. A lot of things have to be taken in consideration: physical, mental, spiritual, moral.
Okay. 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 All right. That's a good rundown. That's a good rundown. And write this down. Should I say no? Actually, one other thing I do say, because football is a little bit different from basketball. Do you think, not believe, because the NFL and NBA are two different in regards to contracts and long term and short term? Do you think that the NFL contract keeps players honest, regardless they're able to make more money, that ain't giving those they could be cut without pay? That's why the league has not really gone belly up like the NBA in regards to viewership, if there's any of that.
Oh, they could be cut at any time.
Yeah.
Um,
Because there's no really what they said secure contracts in the NFL, from what I'm hearing. I could be wrong. I'm not for a person.
well, you can have guaranteed contracts in any league. Both leagues have guaranteed contracts,
Okay.
but the difference in the NFL and NBA is quantity. An NBA roster might have active in an NBA roster might have 12 players on it. Active in an NFL roster, 53. So in that 53, you stand a greater chance of being replaced.
Because of more?
Yeah, because it's a numbers game. Everything's a numbers game.
Okay.
So you can easily be replaced.
Mhm.
There's more guys standing in line to replace you than it is NBA.
I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah, that's a good ratio. Numbers game. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a numbers game.
Okay. Any predictions of between both leagues? We're gonna start with NFL and work with NBA. In regards, what season you anticipate? Who's gonna be number one? Who's gonna win it all next season? By the prospects of the draft.
Man,
Prospect.
no. There's no way. It's too much. It's too many. It's too many variables and too much fluidity. And what I'll tell you who said it best. I'll give you an insider secret.
Okay.
Charles Barkley said it best. And he said in the NBA there's only 3 or 4 good teams. And the rest are garbage and trash trying to figure it out. And that's true in all leagues. Because the coaching is not that. The coaching is terrible. So
Both leagues.
yeah.
I didn't know it was bad in both leagues. I know there's some bad NBA coaches, but I didn't know there was like bad NFL. I didn't know it was bad in both ends because
It's horrible because sports are what? Sports are buddy systems. They're big buddy systems.
Yeah.
They're not it's not merit based.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because you have the skill and the wisdom to do this that we're going to bring you up. No, it's not a meritocracy.
Hmm.
So your 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 skill and wisdom doesn't mean nothing.
Okay.
Perfect example. Who's the who did LeBron replace as the all-time leading scorer in the NBA?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Has Kareem had an NBA job?
No, I don't think. I think he
There's
after he left, he just
that's my point.
Yeah.
You got a guy that scored 1,000,000 points and he can't get a job in the league and that he did it. Why? Because it's a buddy system. What I told you.
Okay. I thought it was Kareem's religion. He switched from Christian to what's he, a Muslim?
Right.
Because remember, a lot of players that converted, a lot of them don't really get noticed again in the NBA. I think one other guy, a point guard, I forgot his name, Sharif. You know what I'm talking about?
Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Chris Jackson.
Yeah. That guy, they said because he converted to Islam, they actually just booed him.
Well, that's
nice.
Yeah, that's
and he was the first one that's like actually Stephen Curry of that era.
Right. Yeah, but that didn't stop Muhammad Ali.
True. It's true that.
Yeah. And that's an excuse that some people will use, but it doesn't diminish the fact that they can counsel and advise the modern player. And so they shouldn't be, anytime you apply for a job, every application on the top of it says it is illegal to discriminate for race, religion, creed, culture.
I agree.
But they do it anyway.
Yeah, because they're the ones that are the end of the day, the pickers, because they run the business.
Right.
And when you're the head of anything, you dictate who comes in, who comes out, regardless of the rules.
The golden rule.
Well, yeah, the golden
rule.
rule.
And what's the golden rule? He who has the goal does what? Rules.
Yeah. But Terrence, it's hard to make black men conceptualize this. And I'm not saying this in a mean way, because my content throughout the years, I've interviewed many guests, some conscious, some non-conscious, some could be feminists, some not. Matter of fact, if I did the catalog when I first doing this YouTube thing for the last 6 years, right? That they didn't really go back to the shows I did on another channel that I did and recorded constantly every week and uploaded. That I've interviewed a lot of people. You get me? And I'm not the most consistent person, but if I had to be honest, the more effective person when it comes to this interview thing.
Right.
This guest, you get me?
Right.
And it doesn't really reflect on the numbers, and we could say it's a politics or it could be other things why they won't catch this broadcast, but at the end of the day, it's here for the archives for people to consume regardless, right. If they have the patience and the focus and the attention span, it will learn something from this. You get me?
Oh yeah.
But like I said,
in the eastern part of the world says it best. There's a lesson in all things if man would be mindful. The problem is 90%, I'll give you the key to life. 90% of people never change. 7% of people change once in their life. 1 to 3% of people change constantly, and they rule the world. So learning, what's the greatest change you can make? The greatest change a person can make in their life is to learn. And that's why the great content that you have is underappreciated, because people don't want to learn. but you're giving them the opportunity to learn.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Thank you again, Terrence, for being a guest and coming up here to give your knowledge, expertise to sports. And I'm hoping for the parents.
Thank you
young
for
people,
having me.
yes, for the parents and young people that inspired to do this, they must understand that it's going to take a lot of work, and you might have to compromise depending where things are going to make it in the upper 1%, which is the sports leagues from the NFL to the NBA or etc. And the only reason why I focus on just basketball and football because this is the thing that people more lean towards. I could have talked about baseball, but I'm not a baseball person, and I don't really get to things that we don't really focus on. If you look at and do a simple turn on the TV, most people, Americans generally, like two things: basketball and football.
Right.
Those are two sports right now that still drives American sports.
Right.
Not one time baseball was one of, but that kind of fell down the wayside in the last 20 years. And the reason why, because people, if you're not breaking records in baseball, no one's watching.
But what we taught tonight, it applies equally to baseball, and they can apply it and translate it.
Yes, correct. Oh yeah, correct. Even including hockey, which I'm not a hockey person, but anything that was said here tonight, like Terrence said, is applied. It can be applied and it's used today. So nothing's new under the sun. Thank you, Terrence, for coming up. I hope you subscribe to the channel. And like I said, if anything, I'll hit you up if anything else I want to bring to your table. Yes, I'm hoping people will learn something from this, and I think they will. So we'll keep in touch. All right, Terrence. And like I said, keep watching Mr. Igmore and all his content.
Oh yeah.
I'm observing. So like I said, I catch a lot of people from many channels, and I make use of a lot of people with different knowledge, all walks of life. Thank you again.
We'll
talk again soon. Take care, Terrence, and good night.
Good night.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming into today's stream. I appreciate you that will come and watch this. On an end note for this, right? Because you will catch replay, and how far you listen to this, that's your business. I don't just put information out here for your entertainment. I put some out here to make you at least learn something. We get entertained too much as a society, and really, truly, we pour time and energy to things that, if we want to participate, we should understand how these systems work, and like how the sports world works. And you're not only a fan or want to be an athlete, and hopefully want to be the next rising star, rather in basketball or football, there are some rules and procedures you must do to catch the eyeballs of future scouts like Terrence or anybody else that scouts for talent for 32 or 32 teams from different sports, from football to basketball, what they look for the next prospect to be their next player in their team. So take this information by heart. And if you want, take notes. If you have young boys that aspire to be basketball players, this is something you need to know. If you have young boys that want to be football players, this is something you need to know. Hope this was helpful. The links to follow me are below. You can follow me on Twitter at Chaos27. You can add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Ring on Facebook. You can join my Discord service. You can follow me on Rumble, CRain23 on Rumble. And last but not least, become a member of the Chaos Rain channel. Membership has perks. Those links. Thank y'all for watching today's stream. And like always, and like till next time, let it chaos reign.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Must reign.